Greetings, Judah. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, here we go again. Now, if you thought that this whole thing around coronavirus has something to do with, just keeping everybody safe, well, lo and behold, here's the latest news on it. And I stopped there and studied just for a moment. Now we're being told by the CDC and all these so-called top doctors and scientists that if we go indoors, are gonna find ourselves becoming highly contagious because the virus is a lot more potent when people are indoors together. And now many of you might say, well, what's wrong with that, DFG? That makes sense. Well, do you remember what they told you in the summer? Last spring? Do you remember them telling you to go indoors? Because stay inside to quarantine? Because that was the safest thing to do? You don't remember that. You don't remember them telling you to stay inside and quarantine because that was the safest thing to do. Now they're telling you just the opposite. That you're inside and it's going to be contagious. And pretty soon they're going to have their contact tracers. You know, the spies in the neighborhood who the government has set up, individuals they're going to pay to come and knock on your doors to see if somebody in your house is sick. So that they can evaluate through the census, because most of you already was silly enough to do the census. So now they know how many people live in your house, how big is your house, everything that you should have been telling them about you. And they're going to take that information and they're going to put that with the contact tracing information. And soon as they see someone in your house with a runny nose, a cough, bronchitis, you name it, they'll be sending, like Trump said, forcefully sending, like Biden is going to do, the military to snatch people out of your home, willingly or unwillingly. And if you think, that the government is not going to get involved in this in a very vicious and hostile way, you got another thing coming, Judah. In Massachusetts, I'll give you a perfect example. The governor, Charlie Baker, has already made a decree or mandate. As of this coming Friday, at 10 o'clock at night to 5 o'clock in the morning, he wants everybody in their houses. So he's going to now start martial law or curfew for grown-ass adults to be in their homes from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. Oh, and as far as social distancing is concerned, he doesn't care if you're 6 feet away, he still wants you to have masks on. He wants you to have masks in private, he wants you to have a mask in public. No matter what you're doing, where you're doing it at, he wants you with a mask on. Although we have heard time and time again, and if you're willing to do any kind of research, you should know by now that mask has nothing to do with what they told us it has something to do with, or that mask has no ability to do what they told us a long time ago that it did, then it didn't, then it did, then it didn't, then it did, then it didn't. I mean, it's so ridiculous now. People wearing handkerchiefs, pull up, turtleneck collars, or anything over their face. Just making a sheer mockery out of the whole process. Napkins over their face. Anything. Hands over their anything. Because they all know it's bullshit. Many of you know it, but for some reason, you have allowed this oppression, this demonic possession to overtake your minds. And now, like zombies, the Walking Dead, you should call them the Walking Dead, let the dead follow their own dead. But now like the Walking Dead, masses and masses of the people, masses and masses of you, Judah, are just falling right behind the Gentiles, right off the damn cliff. Or as the scripture says, right into the ditch, into the pit. The pits of hell. And why? Because they're telling you, or you know someone who died from COVID, but you have not taken the time to consider that person already had a very serious illness at the time of their passing, or prior to high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney disease, cancer, lung disease. You knew they had all these issues. Many of these people had pre-existing illnesses that potentially could be fatal. And when they died of those things, they came right back around and incentivized hospitals and doctors to lie on the death certificate and call it COVID-19. Everybody who's anybody has already brought that out, and yet you still hear many of you, Judah, and some of these Gentiles too, running around and talking about somehow or another, if you breathe on another human being, that you're going to kill her. If you're outside breathing in the open air, you're going to die. At least that's what they're saying in Massachusetts now. Because we're going to have to enforce this. What do you think is coming next? You give up one freedom. You gave up the freedom to not be able to go out and shop in the places, without having a mask on. Then you gave up the freedom of not being able, to gather with your friends and family in social environments. You gave that freedom up. Now, that next freedom you've given up now if they want you in the house at the time they say they want you in the house. What do you think is coming next? Just think about it. Let your imagination lead you to a revelation. What do you think is coming next? What do you think is coming next, Judah? Why? Because you have submitted to it. Every one of us, all of us who pronounce the name, who are in the blood, who are in the body of the Most High, a part of the body of Yeshua. What I mean by that is of that family they call Jesus. Should already know to not conform. The scriptures tell us, do not conform, but be transformed. The scriptures tell us that. Straight is the gate, narrow is the path that leadeth to righteousness, and few there be that find it. Broad is the gate, and wide is the path that leadeth to destruction, and many are going that way. I'm speaking to you, Judah, from the heart. I'm speaking to you, telling you, I'm not trying to undermine your safety, undermine the losses of those you love. What I'm telling you is that this thing is only going to get worse, increasingly worse and worse, to the point that you will have no more freedoms. You will have no more right to stand up, worship, pray, think independently, walk independently, resist. In other words, you are going to become a slave to the wicked powers on this planet if you don't wake up. The scripture says it in another way. It says you're going to take the mark of the beast. All that simply means, the mark of the beast simply means that you're going to be under control of the wicked nations of this earth. That's all the mark of the beast is saying. That you are going to give all your power up to that beast. And that beast is going to destroy you, because it's not going to allow you to even find your way to Yeshua or Yahuwah. It's going to erase it from your consciousness. And many of you don't have Yeshua in your hearts anyway. You're just religious. When last time you picked up the book and read anything, taught it to anyone, shared it with anyone? You haven't. And so that's why you're going to be so easily led astray with the rest of the heathens, Judah. Unless you do something and take a stand right now and resist. This coronavirus has nothing to do with what you think it has something to do with, guys. And probably November 5th, you'll probably see him talking less and less about it. By the time you get to the summit, depending on who's left, after they've gone in door to door, depending on how many of us are left, Judah, we're going to all realize it was just another illusion, another form of deception to destroy our people. And they'll give up some of their own to get us. They always have. They don't know nothing about that. They don't care about sacrificing, a few of them for many of us. But I say this to you again. It's time to wake up. It's time to open up your eyes. It is time to resist by any means necessary. Stand up against it. Protest against it. I'm not talking about in no damn streets. I'm talking about your individual protest and the renewing in your right mind. Understanding that the more you start to succumb to evil, the stronger hold evil has on you. I'm going to end this video with this particular message. This is something that Yeshua said in Matthew chapter 7. Okay? Verses 15. He said, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raving wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is hewed down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits you shall know them. How is this wicked nation and all the evil that is done all over the world, this nation that promotes pro-choice, which means killing innocent babies, promoting homosexual means destroying the family, promoting drug abuse, which means destroying the mind, and rejecting, the so-called church, the real church, the truth of Yah, by destroying anything that has anything to say about Yah, be considered anything other than wicked. And that's the path you follow when you trust these, or when you obey these mandates and these laws, these customs, these traditions of men. And you're going to be judged by it because you're constantly making that decision or not. So I'm going to end this video with the simple message that I know the evil one doesn't want to hear me talk about this. The evil one has tried all kind of little tricks since I've been talking here. And I resist him and I rebuke him in the name of Yeshua. You have no authority, you have no power. Yah will be done in my life right now, this day. And I'm good with whatever way it goes. But I'll end that for you, Some interesting days to come, Judah. But more importantly, you better wake up. You better get that mask off your face. You're breathing your own piss and shit. And you heard me say it enough times. Carbon dioxide ain't nothing but waste. Your body's waste you're inhaling, which is going to break you down, your respiratory system down. It's going to destroy your internal organs, and you will be dying from that, not somebody breathing on you. The earth belongs to you, Judah. You're a part of it. How can it kill you naturally? That's it.